This evening is being recorded and will be available for viewing on the MSA OJCE.com website. This is the fourth year that the Juried show has presented an online competition. The long list of entries exhibits online and is available for viewing at MSAOJCE.com. Additional information on all of the awards, the jurors, and the general juror comment YouTube is posted on the pull-down tabs of the MSAOJCE.com. And last, I'd like to thank everyone attending this evening, and by attending this evening, you've agreed to the recording. If you don't wish your image to appear, you can mute your video and also your voice, and you can change your name to something ubiquitous. Again, this evening will be edited and the YouTube will be posted onto the MSAOJCE.com website, and this YouTube will be posted onto the awards page. We'll now proceed to the awards presentations. I ask each of you to mute your microphones during the presentation. Each artist will be given an opportunity, if they like, to say a few words about their work, and the jurors and donors are also invited to speak about the award. So at this point, what I will do is go to share screen, and then I'm going to be looking for feedback on what you actually see on your share screen. I think what I have to do is share this at this point, and that takes a minute to come up. And at the point where I click play, I will not be able to see you again. Everyone should be able to sign in and get access. So I'm hoping if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I will check them once I stop the share screen. Well, here we go. All right, now I'm wondering if one of you can unmute and tell me what you see on your share screen.
We can see the big slide with the information on it.
That's the so it's a full screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. All right, so that the presenter view isn't showing, it's the full screen. That's what I wanted to confirm. So we will begin now with the MSA 2023 awards. Thank you so much, Mavis, for putting this together. We'll start with the first award, which is the MSA Best in Show for first place. And this award is actually the Barbara Cook Enders Award. It was provided by her family, and it is what we did was rename the MSA first place to honor her memory, because Barbara Cook Enders participated on the board and as a member for 54 years until she actually retired from her art career. The winner this evening is Betty Sawatsky. And at this point, I will stop sharing and invite Betty to Betty, I'd like to present the award to you this evening. And it is virtual, and I would just like to inform all award members that they will be receiving their award package in the mail. That won't happen until next month because the checks have to be approved by the executive before they can be issued, all of that logistics. At any rate, it should be coming. If you're getting frantic and you haven't heard, just email me, but it won't be coming probably till the end of next month. Okay, Betty, I'd like to congratulate you on this award and invite you to say, to tell us about what your, if you have any words on it.
Well, this piece was inspired by our second son, Brian, and the family was camping in our backyard. I've been drawing and painting ever since I was a little girl. So Brian was reading a story to the three boys, their sons, in the tent in our backyard. And so his wife basically opened up the flap of the tent, snapped the picture while they were in the middle of the story. And so Miranda came and showed me this picture, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is the most beautiful picture of a dad reading a story to his sons. So I started working on the picture of Brian and the three boys, but then I started thinking, well, what if I had some fun with this? Let's take a little bit of whimsy in this. And what if the story was the three bears, and what if the bears were watching and listening as well? And as you can see by the pictures, that the bears are just as enthralled as the boys are, and as Brian is in the storytelling. So storytime adventures with Dad, it says it all. But I really just, it caught my heart. You can tell this is a project of passion for my sons and my grandsons, our sons and our grandsons, and of course I love bears, and so it all fit together beautifully. So just want to say thank you so much. I am shocked, I'm amazed, I'm honored that to win this award. It truly is amazing, and I'm glad that I could, I guess, share the smile, because when I look at it, I smile. And when I see how much fun it is, now my challenge is, how do I top that one, right? So next will maybe be one of our daughters. So, but I want to say thank you.
Well, thank you. And Kit and Christine, do you have anything to say about this work, the award for first place?
Well, this image really stood out to me when we were going through the the jurying, and this, it partly is because of the artistic excellence. It's extremely well done. Obviously, you have an excellent command of your media. You really know how to draw. Everything's correct. It's all foreshortening. I mean, all that stuff is just great. But to me, I just love the concept. I love the concept of the bear family and the human family. I just thought that was great.
I'll jump in and say, to echo some of those points. A lot of it was, I was really drawn in by this one because of the story. I wondered what the story was behind it. You're right that there's an element of whimsy, and that was exciting. So it stood out right away. And I think Kit and I were happy to agree on this award. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Well, Betty, you've been officially presented with your award virtually, and the physical award will be arriving not shortly, but eventually. We'll move on now to MSA's second place. This award is the second in the show. It's been awarded this evening to Rosemary Peliquin for Waiting for the Leftovers to Heat Up, and it's a needle-felted wool bat and roving with china plate. Rosemary, can you speak to this work?
I thank you very much. Maybe you're not familiar with needle felting, so I will add a little bit about how it was made. It's an additive technique where you work wool fibers into a tight felted piece. So I use 3-inch needles with barbs on the end and wool bat. And I have a foam that I work on. I always say that I didn't have to sign the first year any of my pieces because my DNA was in all of them. Wasn't quite used to the needles. They do have barbs on the last inch or two, and they connect with the barbs on each of the wool fibers. The more you work them, the tighter they become. And my pieces are all wool. There are no fillers, no armature. Each finger is needled so that it articulates like a real finger, and then it's needled into place. If there's any color in the piece, I've used dyed wool roving. And quite a few years ago, I was asked to be the artist in residence at Custom Woolen Mills in Alberta for a month. And they used turn-of-the-century machinery that was brought from Sifton, Manitoba. I was really inspired by the values around the environment, the work ethic, and the sense of community that they had there. Before leaving, I wanted to make some pieces that honored the workers and the connection that I saw every day in the mill between workers and machinery. So I used broken pieces from the mill machines with the wool to illustrate that connection and collaboration. And these were some of my first hands. I was rather stunned by the reaction of the workers when they saw the pieces I was working on in the studio. Where I saw connection and creation, they saw sadness and danger because of their experiences. It's dangerous work to work along these machines, and they saw accidents and child labor. One of the machines is this 45-foot job with, it's very low to the ground. And that was for ease of work by children in the day. We had some really good discussions because of that. This experience piqued my curiosity on how hands could tell stories. I continue to use found objects to create the scenarios. And who knew that during a pandemic, I would never be without a hand to hold. The act of needle felting for me is as important as the medium. It's a simple, long, quiet, and meditative process. For me, it's a metaphor for the many small actions that make up the fabric of our lives and communities. This piece, Waiting for the Leftovers to Warm Up, was inspired by women of a certain generation. My mother, for one, and now myself. My mom was ahead of her time in many ways. She started several businesses on her own. She worked in a man's world in a high-level position and threatened to quit if they refused to pay her the same wages as the men. She quit. The piece speaks of strength, resistance, taking up space deservedly, togetherness, but also loneliness and invisibility, being alone with one's thoughts, a bit of thumbing your nose at societal norms also with the use of the china plate for an ashtray. I usually have an idea of what I want to explore or say with a piece, but I'm often surprised at everything it tells me once I spend time with it, the strong memories it evolves, and the connection it reveals. I want my work to move people to share their stories and feelings, and this one has started many a discussion, incited laughter, and quite a few tears. I'm honored that I was chosen for an award, especially since it's not your usual art medium. I hope that you get to see it in the gallery because fiber art is so much better in person. Thanks again.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Rosemary, for that very interesting and informative discussion or explanation of your art. And Kit and Christine, can you tell us what your approach to this work was?
Well, this one, to me, it stood out because it is not sort of your typical artwork that's entered in a show or a competition. And it was the media. I just, this, you know, the needle felted and the idea of the, you know, plate, ashtray, it just had a lot of very interesting aspects to it. Can you add to that, Christine?
Yes, I loved this one. It caught my attention right away. The medium and how you've worked with the medium is very impressive. You can tell that those, like the way those hands are formed, as you say, how long and meditative that process would have been. And it was especially interesting to hear about your residency and how you kind of have worked with hands and how that's evolved into this piece. It makes it even more interesting. So yes, I agree. It would be great to see in person. Disappointed that I won't be seeing it in person in the exhibition. But even the photos are very, you know, moody and kind of set the tone of the piece. So well done all around.
Thank you very much.
Well, Rosemary, there is your MSA award for second place. We'll be getting that in the mail to you. And thank you very much for.
Thank you. And I see a road trip in my future.
For sure. Okay, where are we? Okay, here we go. The next award is MSA third place. And this award has been won by Kathleen Hammond-Bakoski. Kathleen is not able to be with us this evening. She had a conflicting event. but her award is for firewood in mixed media. And I'm wondering if the jurors can say a few words about the award.
Sure, I will jump in. For myself, and I'm sure, you know, and conversations with Kit, the subject matter of this really drew us in. So this was one that I immediately flagged for a potential award. I'd love to hear more about the work from Kathleen in terms of the subject matter. You know, was this based on a photo? Did she capture is this a friend? So that kind of information would be really interesting to learn about. But you know, it caught the attention of both of us right away, and was kind of always on the consideration list for me, at least, for an award.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it too. I was going through them initially before, you know, Christine and I talked about them, and this was one that caught my interest. And I think it, again, you know, it gets back to the story, and you start to think about what the story is behind this. It's just undefined enough that it allows you to create your own story a bit about what this fella's doing here with the cigarette and the phone and the firewood. Yeah, it's just a really, the concept was very interesting.
We'll be getting Kathleen's award to her, and she indicated she'd be signing in to hear the YouTube about it as well. Our next award is the Jean Waits Award for first time OJCE exhibitor. And I didn't notice in the attendance list, is Corey Knight in attendance? Corey Knight is the daughter of Jean Waits, and it's Corey's family who established the award. And since Corey is not here, I will make the official presentation. The award was established in 2021 to honor the longtime commitment to the arts and to encourage the participation of emerging artists in juried exhibits. So this was, Jean Waits was a longtime member of MSA, and she was present at every single juried show as a volunteer and as an award winner for some years, and always as part of the organizing committee. The award recognizes an outstanding first-time entry, and it is to represent the excellence in first time. So Cora Enns is the recipient of this award. Cora, I know you're here this evening. Can you tell us about your work here, Winnipeg Alley 1?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this recognition. This is amazing. So just thank you so much for recognizing my piece. Yeah, I was walking through the Exchange District not too long ago, and I was just fascinated with the architecture and the angles of the buildings. And I really just wanted to capture some of these angles and how I could play with negative and positive space. And it actually led to a series of pieces called Winnipeg Alleyways. And it was just like, I just got really quite inspired by our downtown here in Winnipeg. For me, this piece, really what I tried to show was neglected spaces and forgotten spaces to really shine light on it, or more so color on it. I really wanted the white of the paper to sing, and that the white of the paper would be a part of the piece, a tool for showing light. And also the idea of it being some sort of old photograph that had blurry, undeveloped quality to it, somehow retaining the grimy and imperfect qualities of the location I was in when I took a photograph to use as a reference. And also with reduction lino cut, there's actually 4 layers of color. So the challenge was to pick the colors that would best suit and keep it vibrant. And I also have a fascination with a mid-century palette. So I try to figure out, okay, can I really get that burnt color that I really was searching for? And yeah, it was a very enjoyable process. And I thank you so much for the recognition. And if you have a pair of these and you go and see my piece, it gets really trippy real fast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cora. And Kit and Christine.
Sure. Cora, I loved this piece so much. I'd love to see the rest of the series. Your color selection, as you've described, it was just spot on because it's vibrant. It's abstract, but you also have this real sense of place when you're looking at it. So for me, this one was just like a pop of excitement, and loved it right away. So congratulations.
I felt basically the same as what Christine was saying. I liked the colors. I really liked the fact that it's a reduction lino print. You don't see a lot of those in competitions and exhibitions, and I thought this one really stood out. So partly for the media and partly, well, of course, like I say, the composition and everything, just great.
Thank you. Cora, you've been presented your award. We'll have that in the mail to you. Now there's a slight delay before this screen is coming up and actually turning it. I'm actually, oh, there we are. Okay. The next award is the William Birtles Award for Sculpture. And I see that Heather Birtles is in attendance. And Heather, I'd like to request that you present the award. And if you'd like to say a few words about it. The winner of the award is Bill Rademacher.
Well, I'd certainly like to congratulate Bill on this piece of work. It's just beautiful. And I haven't seen it in person, of course, just the slide. It's beautiful in its own right. It's very pleasing, and I have a lot of curiosity about the wood that has been used and how you source that. And I just want to congratulate you. And Bill, my two daughters are actually here tonight as well. Anna Verfels, who lives in Lévis, Quebec, and my other daughter, Sarah Hinders, who lives in Toronto. And I don't know whether they have anything they would like to say, but I'm sure their dad would be very, very impressed by this lovely work.
Well, yes, you took the words right out of my mouth, Mom. I just, my sister showed this photo to me, and I just said, wow, the colors, the shine, the angles, you know, just sort of looking at it on a superficial level versus looking at it from a symbolic level. It's striking in both ways. And it's just so, I don't have the word for it, but it's attention grabbing, and it's hard to look away. Actually, I think my dad really would have enjoyed this, and I think knowing the work that goes into sculpting, I am really appreciative of what you've produced, and just to get all the details, all the angles, just I think it's called a phalange on just the fingers, the extension, the joints, how that all fits together. It's a beautiful piece. So congratulations. I see my sister wants to chip in. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, thanks. I just wanted to say that, just to add to that, I posted your image on Facebook, and I'm getting a lot of likes and loves and wows. And that I'm working on a lot of projects right now with Indigenous community and reclaimed wood, and so this is it was a pleasant surprise that, you know, our family's not involved in the jury aspect of this, or the selection of the artist, and so what a nice coincidence that I'm seeing your work while, you know, my 9 to 5, I'm looking at reclaimed wood and having the wood tell us what it should be, whether it's a table or whether it's an art piece or what have you. And so that's really lovely timing for me personally. Beautiful work. And interesting too that there was more than one award for something related to hands. I just thought that was another perhaps nice coincidence as well. Well done, Bill. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much to the Birtles family for honoring the memory of their husband and father. I guess I should, for those who are attending who may not realize that the award was established in 2017, and Bill Birtles taught in northern and city schools in Manitoba as well as in the UK. He was always keen to promote the importance of art in the communities where he lived. Bill was an accomplished artist whose drawings, paintings, and sculpture are in private and public collections in North America and the UK. He took an active role in the Manitoba Society of Artists for many years and was a regular exhibitor at the MSA OJCE. And to pay tribute to his life, the family did establish the Birtles Award for Sculpture. And what a beautiful gesture it is. And at this point, I'm wondering if I could ask the sculptor, the artist, Bill Rademacher, to speak to his very interesting work here.
I will. Thank you very much. Well, it's a great honor to be part of this tonight. I'm looking at it on a different screen. That's why I'm sort of looking up. I just joined MSA recently, and I was totally blown away when I got word that I had won an award. And I'm humbled and honored by that. Regarding the piece itself, I'll speak about the subject matter, and then I'll also speak about the wood itself. Firstly, the subject matter is the hands of love, and it depicts what is very strong in my life, which is a faith-based a depiction of the love of Christ for us, and the different types of people that he has love for, which is basically everyone. And so I don't know if it's evident from the photo or not, but the large hand in the middle actually has a spike through it, which is, you can just see behind the index finger of the hand in the foreground. And that, of course, represents the famous concept of Christ on the cross. And so I wanted to try and relate the beauty of the wood, or the beauty of his creation, to him, it's himself. And that was sort of the idea that came across as I did this piece. People ask me, well, how do you do hands? They seem so hard to do. Well, I say it's sort of simple in my mind. You take a piece of wood and just chop away everything that doesn't look like a hand. And so as a result of that, we have different shapes of hands. The wood itself, I've been in the wood industry all my life, and recently become, in the last 5 to 10 years, become very interested in exotic woods from all over the world. These woods that you see on the screen, tulip wood, bocote, purple heart, basswood, and bloodwood, are not, well, basswood probably everyone's heard of. It's the same as lindenwood, and we have it here in Manitoba, of course. That's the big hand. The hand of Christ is made out of basswood, the big one in the background. The others are not as well known because they are what we would call exotic woods from all over the world. The big one in the foreground, that's with the pink striping on it, that's the tulip wood. And the purple one at the back is, of course, purple heart. And the stripy one, the little guy on the right, that's bocote. And one of the things I do is I don't use any stain on any of the woods. These are all natural colors of the woods. And I have other pieces that I've worked on, which are, yellow and black and blue and red, and the spike itself, sort of, I don't know whether I did that on purpose or not, but the spike itself is made out of bloodwood, and that's a tree that grows in Africa that the sap is so red that when you cut it down, it looks like it's bleeding. So that's the whole idea behind the hands, and it's part of a phase I've been in lately that deal with the hands. So again, that's a little bit about that, and I thank you. It's really an honor to meet the family of Mr. Birtles, and I appreciate very much the honor that you've given me.
Well, thank you, Bill. And do our jurors have some words to speak to the sculpture?
So there was quite a few really, really good sculptures in the show, really excellent sculptures. And it was kind of difficult to choose one of these for this award. But I think this one kind of stood out. And I think it's coincidental that it's hands, because of course that was our second prize winner was also a hand. But again, the medium and the subject matter, I just thought it stood above the others.
Yeah, not too much additional to add, but congratulations, Bill. And yes, the subject matter stood out. I didn't know until you described kind of your original inspiration for the work, but you do get that kind of sense of warmth, and that really came out of this piece. So between that and the material, that was all very interesting to me. So congratulations again.
Thank you, Bill. Your award will be in the mail. Thank you for your sculpture. And again, if anyone is able to make it to Eagle Ridge Gallery in Winnipeg, the hours are noon to 4 p.m. Wednesday to Saturday, and the phone number is on the website. Our next award is the Lynn Sissons Watercolor Award. And this award has been established for some time. It was established by her family to honor longtime MSA member Lynn Sisson, who passed away in 1985. The award is selected by the jurors to be given to a work deserving of merit that demonstrates and promotes a traditional use of the medium. Therefore, the award favors works that are more representational than experimental in nature. And the winner of the Lynn Sissons Watercolor Award is Linda Rubel with Morning Calm. And Linda, I wonder if you can say a few words about your work.
Certainly. Thank you so much. I must say, like Bill, I'm very new to the MSA. I was honored to just be accepted. And when I received word that I had won this award, I was totally honored, humbled, and quite frankly, blown away. I'm really humbled. The painting that I've done, the watercolor, is actually a scene from my brother's cottage in Sioux Narrows. And the view is from his deck by the sauna overlooking the lake and his boat. And it's quite a special scene for me. My husband and I are very early risers. And so every morning when we're at my brother's, we would trek down to the deck to watch the sunrise. And we would have a jet boil camp stove and our AeroPress coffee maker. And we would sit with our coffee and look over this lake. So it's a really special scene for me.
I just have to listen to this.
The other thing that made it really.
One moment, please. Could I ask the attendants to please mute, except for the speaker? Thank you very much. Sorry.
No problem. What made it special as well was last summer we had a family reunion at my brother's place, and every morning my nieces would join Greg and I for coffee overseeing this. So what I was trying to capture in this painting was that sense of calm first thing in the morning, those moments when you think life doesn't get any better. So again, that's what I was trying to do with this. And thank you. I'm humbled to be in the presence of these other artists and to be part of this show. I truly thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. And can the jurors have a comment on the selection of the work?
Linda, thank you so much for sharing that personal story, because you do get a real sense of calm when you look at this image. I could tell it was a place that was meaningful to you as the artist. And it's always nice when you come across a work like that that's technically excellent, but also you know that there's a real deep meaning behind it. So this, yeah, congratulations. This was a lovely watercolor.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I second what Christine was saying. And I'd also like to add too that this particular work for the watercolor award to me made a lot of sense because you could capture that with other media, but not in the way that you've done. And it's beautiful. The feeling that you get from the medium of the watercolor itself, I think really helps capture what you were going for. So congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Indeed, congratulations, Linda. You've been presented with your award for Morning Calm, and it's in the mail. The next award is for the Cliff Packer Memorial Award. And this award is in acrylics. And I will read the jury advisory has been to, it was established in 2000 to honor and celebrate the life and work of Cliff Packer. The intent of the award is to pay homage to Cliff's varied interests as an artist. The theme of the award is, quote, for a work of art deserving of merit in the genre tradition, unquote. Genre is a term used to describe paintings and other works of art that deal with an informal representation of everyday life. Genre is not limited to a particular medium. It pays particular attention to work involving the human figure, and it tends to be representational rather than abstract in nature. And the winner of the Cliff Packer Memorial Award for OJCE 2023 is Frank Martin for Iqaluit Clam Diggers in acrylic. And Frank, can you speak to your work this evening?
Yes, thank you. It's always an honor to be shortlisted to get an award. Is a bit of the icing on the cake, and it's often very overwhelming. This picture was one that I had taken. My family, it's actually of two of my grandchildren, the two friends, and my son in Iqaluit. It's just off Frobisher Bay, where we had boated out to. We usually go up in winter. This was actually the first time I'd been up in summer. This is August, and so it was quite different. My granddaughter often makes a point of saying that they don't live in the Arctic, they live in the subarctic because they're 175 miles south of the Arctic Circle. When you look at my grandson, who's the second one from the left, is actually in his summer snowsuit. It's got orange fur on it, and it is a suit, so it can get quite cold. The other thing that is interesting here is when you go out by boat, you actually have to land at high tide, and halfway down you can see where the green kind of turns into yellow is kind of where the tide is when you land, and then you wait for 4 hours and the tide goes down and you can actually clam dig. We actually went clam digging 3 or 4 times. The kids really love it. You have to find a small little half-inch hole and then dig down about a foot to get the clam. And so it's always very exciting. So it's a bit of a contrast. The part that appealed to me in the picture was the color of their clothes are so colorful. And it often hit me that in winter, when it's all white, they would have really shown up big, and that's more consistent with my memories. The other thing is that their dog is there, who died about 6 months after this picture was taken. I'd always wanted to paint Pearl. She's a completely black lab, and I could never get a picture that outlined her. So it was kind of nice to be able to get Pearl in this picture. So I think that's about it. It's kind of a study in contrast, winter over summer, the age of the kids, color, and that was very appealing. One of the things that was really difficult was actually doing the background, which is the land, because nothing grows over 3 inches. So most of this is actually just rock and lichens and very, very short grasses. nothing, there's no trees, it's all above the tree line, so it's a very exciting place to visit and to be. So thank you very much for the for honoring me with the award and for the opportunity to show my work. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank, for that lovely content, the story behind the work. Kit and Christine?
This is an interesting award. When you read the description of the award, it evolves around the subject matter of everyday things that people do. So we had quite a collection to go through. There was quite a few paintings that definitely would have been eligible for this award. But I think this one just caught our eye. The group of the kids and the adult and the dog on the beach. I knew there was a story behind it. It was very interesting, Frank, listening, finding out what the story was, and congratulations for that painting.
And I'll chime in too and say, I think one thing that caught my eye, in addition to the way you did the land, as you explained, I mean, there's some vibrancy to those colors, even though it's these more muted tones, but also the figures in the work. There's so much movement there, and it just piques your curiosity. And as Kit said, there were a lot that kind of fit the award parameters, and so congratulations, because yours really stood out.
Thank you so much, Frank, for this work, for sharing this very interesting work with us, and congratulations. We will have that in the mail to you. And our next award is the Brian Hislop Award for Pastel. The Brian Hislop Award for Pastel was established in 2006 to honor and celebrate the life of MSA board member Brian Hislop. The intent of the Pastel Medium Award is to encourage artists to demonstrate their skills with original work in pastels. Although Brian favored landscapes, there's no jury advisory. It's their decision to choose the work of merit as they see fit. And the winner of this year's Hislop Award for Pastel is Shirley Rayner with Grand Marais Winter in a Soft Pastel. Shirley, can you tell us a little about this award or about this work?
Yes, I do paint pretty much everything, like figure, still life, and landscape, but I would say I enjoy landscape the most, and I specifically love the winter landscape. I think it's because, winter landscape is often sort of bigger, simpler shapes, and just also even the palette. In the summertime, I paint a lot outdoors, and it's always sort of overwhelming to be confronted with just greens everywhere. So I think that's just some of the reasons I love the winter landscape. Now, this one in particular didn't come from a photo of mine. I generally always work with only my own photos because I sort of feel like I need to paint things that I'm very familiar with. I've been there and seen them. But this one was just so striking, and it just so happens that this photo came from Linda Rubel, the one that got the Lynn Sisson's Watercolor Award. She has great photos, and I was just sitting with her one day in an art group setting, and I guess I didn't have my iPad or something with me, so she said I could look at her phone or iPad and pick something to paint from. So that's what I did, and I was just so taken with the image that I painted it again, I think small, and then I decided, okay, I've got to do it bigger because I just love the image so much. What's most striking for me, it's usually always about shapes, color, and the light. And so with this scene, it was just really interesting because you had those forefront big boulders that had lots of contrast between the exposed rock and the snow. And then in the distance was, the trees and a lot of strong light on, the snow in front of the trees there. So I think that's what I was most drawn to.
Well, thank you, Shirley. And Christine and Kit,
Yes, congratulations, Shirley. This is such a beautiful work. The shape and forms of the boulders kind of caught my eye, and just kind of the balance of the image. So it's interesting that it was done from a photo. It was probably a beautiful photo, and it turned out to be a very well balanced, beautiful work as well. So congratulations.
I second that, and I've worked in pastels myself. It's not my primary medium, but I do really enjoy it, and I loved the colors that you tickled into the shadows. I think that was one of the things that really stood out for me, and they are muted colors, but they're not quote unquote pastel. You know, there's some very subtle more muted colors in there with those little shadows in them. And I thought that was very well done. So congratulations.
Thank you.
congratulations, Shirley, and your award is presented. We'll have that in the mail to you. Our next award is the Bev Morton Wayne Arthur Award for Mixed Media. And our donor has established this award. Sandra Morton Wiseman established this award in memory of her sister. And I'd like to ask if Sandra would like to say a few words about this award.
Sure. Okay. My sister Bev Morton opened a gallery devoted to the works of Manitoba artists and craftspeople in 1995 in a Quonset hut next to her home on an acreage not far from Selkirk in Manitoba. Her first husband, Wayne Arthur, was a sculptor and artist. Bev operated the gallery on the weekends only. After Wayne's untimely passing in 1999, Bev moved into Winnipeg, where she opened a new gallery by appointment only on St. Mary's Road in St. Boniface. In 2002, she and her partner, Robert McClellan, bought a property on a commercially zoned street, Provencher Boulevard in St. Boniface, where they were able to renovate, live in the upstairs, and where she opened the Wayne Arthur Gallery on the main floor so that Wayne's legacy could live on. Shortly afterwards, Robert was able to convince Bev to leave a job she hated with the Employment Insurance Commission to devote herself to her lifelong passion for art. Bev was also an artist herself and tried a variety of media over her life, finally settling on fabric art, which she practiced for the last 20 years. Always on the lookout for new talent, Bev mentored and nurtured many young and emerging artists over the years. Bev was a modest and unassuming person, so much so that even her own family never knew about or understood the impact she had made on the Manitoba arts community until her passing in November of 2021. As her only surviving close relative, I was overwhelmed by the outpouring from literally hundreds of Manitoba artists, from Flin Flon to Winkler, whose lives she had touched and whose careers she had supported. Through the Wayne Arthur Gallery, Bev curated exhibits for a roster of more than 150 Manitoba artists working in painting, printmaking, mixed media, sculpture, pottery, jewelry, and photography. Her gallery was also a cultural hub for poetry and novel readings, doll-making workshops, and so much more. It is an honor and privilege for me to have been able to establish this award in Bev's and Wayne's names so that their legacy will live on in the hearts and minds of Manitoba artists. Thank you.
And the winner of this award is Leslie Franklin with Yardwork Helper, Mixed Media. At this point, I would just like to mention that just a little bit less than a week ago was the birthday of Bev Morton, and her birthday parties in her gallery were legendary. And it is at that point that Facebook pops up all kinds of memories that are just so heartwarming. So this time of year is really truly in addition to early December, when it would be her potluck holiday party at her gallery, that it particularly comes back to us. So thank you, Bev Morton, and thank you, Sandra Morton Wiseman, for establishing this award in the memory of Bev Morton and Wayne Arthur. And Leslie, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little about your work and about the yard work helper.
Sure. First of all, thank you very much to the jurors for selecting my work, and for Sandra Wiseman and the MSA for the Bev Morton Award, Wayne Arthur Award. I know Bev was a wonderful supporter of the arts in Manitoba, so this award is so fitting because it continues her continued support to emerging artists, and that's just a wonderful tribute. This particular painting is a bit unusual because I don't normally work in mixed media. I worked in many medium, but I'm sort of more now starting to pull out the strengths and weaknesses of the different media. And in this case, it's my grandson, and he's 2. So I did it in watercolor because it's a really nice medium to capture the sort of the delicate skin tones. And I also like to look for reference photos that have strong lighting. And in this particular case, his skin is so pale anyway, but I put a very dark tree. I kind of just mix things up myself. I put the darkness of the tree against his skin just to accentuate the light. And after I kind of finished it, it looked a bit flat, the whole scene, and I was struggling with how to change that. So I added alcohol ink, which is what I mostly work in now, in areas to make it pop more. Even though he's the focal point, it did bring out the leaves just to kind of add a little bit more value. And that's why it ended up being mixed media. And so I was quite shocked when I found out I had won a mixed media award. And that was just wonderful. Thank you so much. Obviously, it's not for sale. My daughter would kill me. So it will go to her. And it's not the first time I painted that sweet little face. But yeah, thank you again so much. That's about all I can say.
And Kit with Christine?
Sure. I think it's a very interesting combination of media. You know, a lot of pieces come in, across your desk or whatever. They say they're mixed media, but you always wonder, well, what's the mixed part? Like, what have you added? And I think you've done a really excellent job of combining the delicacy of the watercolor in the areas of the face, etc., which needed that. And also to get the luminosity of the lighting and whatnot with the vibrancy of the color from the ink. And it's interesting because the contrast, although you've got a lot of color in the picture in various places, because of it's kind of all colorful, it doesn't take away from the main focal point, which is, of course, the boy's face. So really well done combination of media there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just jump in to say totally agree with what Kit has said, especially about the nice balance between the two mediums, and that those vibrant leaves, which still somehow blend into the background of what is supposed to be the focus. And I have a 2-year-old at home too, so you've really captured the sweetness of those moments with them. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Leslie. And you've been presented with your award for Yard Work Helper.
Thank you.
Now, in addition to the specific awards, MSA has through the years decided to add the honorable mentions, awards that may have given the jurors pause in any particular category, and works that are still outstanding that they want to mention. We have and the honorable mentions are not a first, second, and third. They're just 3 of them, and they are all there. Each of the 3 is an honorable mention and worthy of an award of excellence in the juried show. The first one I'd like to present to you is the honorable mention for the red chair in oil by James Dean. Now, James, can you tell us about this particular work? And I think it's part of a series, I'm not sure, but can you speak to your work and tell us a bit about it?
Sure. But thank you for this award. I'm very honored to receive it, and thank you to the jurors too. They've always have a challenging job, I'll tell you. This is a painting, an oil painting on canvas, and it started off when I leave the north. I try to get down to Winnipeg and get to the Exchange District, and this was one of those days when I was there, and I think it was in the morning, and yeah, you walk around looking for things, and this one was amazing. The light hit the building, and when that happens, you're pretty excited. You know you got something, and so then to get actually working on it, I did this quite a few years ago, the photograph, and I've always wanted on my top to-do list, and finally got to it. But so yeah, and then to paint it, it's certainly another matter, and the light does its thing. This is all about the light, and just when you get into it and you see what all is in the photograph or what's in the building, and try to express it. So you've got the ornate architecture of the building, and you got some darks and lights going on, and you got the objects in the window, which are all kind of doing their thing with the light. And then this really neat older van sitting there and hitting it with a cooler light, because you want to go against the bright warmth of the yellows and stuff. And then there's a chair, which everyone looking at that can write their own story about. But what stories does that chair have? What will it have? And it really shows its place in the painting, which came together quite nicely and quickly. Not always do they do that. So yeah, it's a little bit about it. Just to be excited about painting and to get it done. I'm sure we all feel that is kind of a neat thing to have. So thanks again for the honorable mention.
Well, congratulations, James, and thank you for that very interesting work. We have another honorable mention that is going this evening to Pamela Jeffrey for My Grandmother's Iron, and her painting is also in oil. Pamela, you're here this evening. Can you tell us a bit about your painting?
Well, I work with lots of different materials and different subjects, but there's something about old tools and forgotten objects that had an importance at one time that I find really intriguing. So that was one of the things that I think drew me to, first of all, before I say anything else, I just am so delighted and honored to be one of the award winners. It's yeah, I was just so pleased. And I went a week ago to see the exhibit, and it's just, I mean, it's wonderful to see the pieces on your computer, but to see things in real life, it was really exciting, and I was just so delighted and honored to be part of that show. It's just beautifully presented. So anyhow, so back to the iron. The other thing that intrigued me, I think, were the different materials. The metal and the reflections in the metal were interesting to me, and the wooden handle. And I just loved the cast shadow of it. It really intrigued me as well. So just as a little composition, yeah, I just really enjoyed doing this piece. And it's still a working iron. It has two functions. I don't iron with it. I have an electric iron. But I live in a heritage building, and my front door is very heavy, and the iron is very heavy. So sometimes it functions as a doorstop. And the other function it has is I do quite a lot of work on paper. And sometimes I need to weight things down if the paper is a little bit uneven. And so I will pile books on top. And on the top of it goes the iron and a stone rabbit that I have. So it's still in operation. And because it was my grandmother's iron, it was very close to my grandmother. So it's got a tie to history for me. But there's something about forgotten things that aren't used anymore that I think inspired me to honor it in some way. So
Thank you, Pamela, and Kit and Christine.
I think for me with this one, what first attracted me to it was the very, very interesting shapes, the negative shapes, the cast shadow. And then secondly, just all those yummy neutralized colors, the wide variety of warms and cools and the different, it's actually quite colorful when you look at it closely. So very, very nice piece. Congratulations.
I was intrigued for the same reasons, and also the subject matter, and I'm glad, Pamela, that you talked a bit about that. So overall, this was a very interesting work, and congratulations.
thank you.
Thank you, Pamela, for sharing that work with us. And you're right. I do urge everyone who, if it's at all possible, before the end of the month. I believe the show is hanging until the morning of June 30th. So there's still plenty of time to to get down there and see it. It's quite lovely. And now that you've heard the jurors and the artists speak about their work, you have so much more. What you can do, and what people did last year was they took the YouTube with them, and they actually gave themselves a recorded tour of the show by going through the YouTube. So that might be an interesting thing to do when you're going to see the show as well. So congratulations, Pamela, and enjoy the show. And our third honorable mention is to Darlene Hunt for Maraki, Ode to Manitoba, which is executed in India ink on Echo Canvas. Darlene, can you tell us about your work?
I sure could. Thank you so much. I'm still pinching myself to be in such honored company. I've been probably a closet artist. I grew up wanting to be an artist, but was encouraged to get a real job, and then life happens. But many years ago, I was actually introduced to a lovely artist, Janet Nash, when I lived in Alberta, and she introduced me to India ink, and so my art has kind of been bubbling out of my life for a number of years. But life gets busy when you have a family and that sort of thing, as I'm sure many can relate to. Anyway, a few years ago, I was left disabled, and as a part of sanity, my son, the gifted man that he is, gave me his tablet and said, "Mom, you know how to work India ink," but at the time I didn't have strength to sit, much less push on a pen. He says, "And you love to learn, you'll figure it out." So anyway, making a very long story as brief as possible, I found my love for textile design. I have an online store. I seem to like to paint on people's walls. I found a supplier for this eco canvas, which spoke to the environmentalist in me, and I knew that I needed to do something. I'm also I used to be a gardener, so I'm in an effort to try and connect with my old garden, which I can no longer take care of. I decided that I needed to start a line of garden art. And Marikai is a Greek word meaning to give of oneself. And this one here was probably a year in the making, and my husband passed very suddenly and unfortunately a few years back, and I've had the very good fortune over my life to do a lot of traveling, and part of my time in my life I lived in Alberta, and a piece of me still is there. And I asked myself after he passed, why on earth did I stay in Manitoba? And Marikai was born. So rather than getting into all the details of all the symbolism that's in this tapestry, I'd encourage you to go to Paul's lovely studio, and there is a card that has the details on the representation of what's in this design. And Eco Canvas, just a very short work on that, is the the supplier that I found spoke to the environmentalist in me, because the eco canvas is a polyester canvas blend that actually has a polymer coating that recycles 20 water bottles. So I was very excited about that and knew that I needed to somehow find a way to figure that into my art world. So anyway, again, I'm still pinching myself that I'm here. Thank you so much. And thank you.
Well, you're most welcome. Well deserved. Kit and Christine, can you speak to this work? It's completely abstract. So.
Well, it's abstract, but there's a lot of representational elements in there. And I think for me, I really love the symmetry of the work. And I can look at it quite endlessly and find things in it. And I think it's a really interesting piece to explore. And it was just so different and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. And I also love that, knowing a bit more about it. So much of what you see here is really emerging of all of your personal interests, or many of your personal interests and experiences and history. So that makes it even more exciting. So I feel like this is a piece you can spend a lot of time with, which is always great. So thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Darlene. We will have your award to you in the mail. And that completes our awards for this evening.
Hi, excuse me, Bonnie?
Yes, James.
James here. The jurors didn't speak to the red chair. I wonder if you could see.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Hang on, we'll go back to screen sharing. The jurors spoke to Darlene's work.
Yes, we just missed James.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hang on.
Yeah, we can see your, now we can't see your screen. So
I know, I'm bringing it back. It's coming.
That's okay. I mean, they saw it.
Oh, no, we have to, we're recording this, James, for posterity. So we'll get, here we are. And okay, we'll go back. I'm sorry that we're back with James and with the honorable mention for the red chair. And we would ask the jurors to comment. Am I sharing with you?
No.
It's not, okay, just a
second.
second.
It's not coming up.
That's okay.
It's here, James. It's here.
There we go.
Is it up now?
Well, I'm glad we're getting a chance to chat about this. It kind of went by the first time. I went, whoa, where was it? I really love this this painting. All that you told me about how you designed it and how everything, what the colors, the color balance and the spot of red in the middle, just bang on. It's a really excellent work.
Yeah, James, I'm glad we're getting to round back and talk about this. Loved this piece. I think I remember there were a few more that were in this series, but may have been more figurative. And this one was exciting because although there's no human figure in there, there's these kind of little hidden bits that the longer you look at, you can find. I mean, I didn't even notice the red chair, I think, in my first pass. So being able to kind of glance through the window there and see that was really exciting. So loved this one, and thank you.
That's funny, Christine, because I didn't notice the red chair until I saw the title, and then I went, red chair, what? I always called it the van, but it is just masterfully done. So well done, James.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It is lovely. I see the red chair, and I recall in my art history studies that Corot always put a red dot somewhere in every single one of his works. And you could always, find the signature, and it activates the eye. It truly does. So I'm so glad that we were able to bring this back. And I do apologize, James, that I got a bit muddled and moved.
No problem. Thank you.
So pleased that we can include the jurors' comments. And now I'm not going to stop screen sharing if I hear any objection at all. Have I covered everything? Are we good? I don't hear any anything up. So now I will stop sharing. And there we are. We're back. I do see that we have some chat entries. So I'll try to bring those up and see what we have there in terms of what people were commenting on. Is this being recorded? Yes, it is being recorded. Some people commented on ones that they were particularly, someone wasn't getting the full screen, and that we have lovely comments on the artists' elucidations on the inspiration for their works, and also the subject content on it. What surface did you do this on? Ruth has asked that question. Ruth, which painting were you questioning?
Oh,
there?
I was typing that when Leslie was speaking. I was hoping that she could answer right away. I know that you usually use Yupo for your alcohol ink works.
Yes.
So on this one, was it watercolor paper?
No, it was ampersand clayboard.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
struggling to find a way that you could have used alcohol inks on watercolor paper, and I was interested to know if that was.
Yeah. I wish, but no.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay.
And we have a comment from Sandra Morton Wise, or from Anna Bertels, that her 10-year-old daughter has just said that she loves how the painting is not a painting of a red chair, that you have to look for the chair. So bravo there. And basically a lot of kudos to the organizers and to the good feelings that are here this evening for the winners. It's a wonderful honor. It is. It's always a pleasure to distribute these awards. And don't forget, artists, that this isn't the end of the award. What you're able to do with the award is mention it on your CVs if you're applying for grants, mention it if you're applying for submissions for shows and competitions, and anywhere where anyone asks you for a history of your artistic career. This counts. It all counts, and it certainly can help you build your own portfolio as an artist. That pretty much brings to a close our evening tonight, and the Juried show continues, as we said, to the end of June for the physical show, and to the end of August for the availability of the online show. For any of you who are considering to apply for membership to MSA, the instructions are online. You just fill out the forms and collect your images and submit them in the form requested. And the next jury panel meeting, I think, is in September. And then they make their decision. They take that to the executive board that records it and all of that administrative stuff. And then the artist is informed of the decision. So that would be in October or so. So that's the timing. So with that, I would just like to say thank you all for attending. Thank you all for participating. Particular thanks and gratitude to our donors, and who have also taken the trouble to be here and be with us this evening as we honor those who have worked so hard on these artworks. And it's been a pleasure to present to you the 91st Open Juried Competition and Exhibition. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.